Game for Boise State. They begin this at their own 2. Ripping from the end zone. Looking and over the head of Spurbeck at the 40.
I like the play call. Backed up in the shadow of your own end zone. Take a deep shot. Loosen those guys up a little bit. Colorado State had the box packed with 7 different guys, so it's one-on-one out on the edge, and that's good coverage by the nickelback, Justin Sweet. Sweet coverage.
Yeah, Sweet probably going to get some extra time tonight. Braylon Scott out. DeMontre Taylor's already been out. One of the safeties. Ripping again from the end zone. That one caught by Spurbeck. His defender falls down, makes a move at the 20, and brought down at the 21. So there's some daylight for Boise State after a gain of 18. Kevin Nutt with the tackle.
Yeah, Kevin Nutt had the tight coverage, but Spurbeck's so good at making that quick break. You saw he had Nutt's hips turned the wrong way, and that's what gave him the separation.
Nichols has to fall forward to pick up 2 to the 23, initially hit by Evan Colorado.
I tell you, them throwing the ball out of their own end zone like they did there, that tells me that Brian Harsin is not worried about Brett Rippon taking care of the football. He's turned him loose pretty much here in his sophomore season.
And Brian Harsin calls the plays for Boise State, the head coach. 2nd down and 8 for the Broncos. Nichols hit quickly and wrapped up by O'Shea Jackson, the redshirt freshman out of the Metroplex, Arlington, Texas.
And Jackson getting the start here today as the redshirt freshman, his first start. And one of the reasons is his size and his mass, and they want to put him on the center and give him as much trouble as possible as Mason Hampton is back from injury playing that center position tonight.
Well, it's Stephen Baggett at center the last few games for Boise State. Pass and broken up nicely by Tyree Simmons. The Boise State crowd wants a flag, but there is none. And it'll be 4th down.
This is a really nice job of defense and coming up and timing it out, getting the hand over the top. And Simmons, I think, is the best cover man on this Rams football team. He is very competitive out there in balls that he can get his hands on.
Sean Wales' first punt went for 51 yards. Robert Ruiz back at the 28 at Colorado State.
He bombed that one.
And he booms another, and another fair catch called for and taken at the 25 by Robert Ruiz. That one, well, the first one was 51 yards for Whale, and that one at 50. Rams offense coming back out when we return. Colorado State, the Rams take over 1st and 10 from their own 25. From the eye with Izzy Matthews the back, Peralta the halfback. Give is not, the pass comes to Peralta the tight end. They fake the handoff to Matthews. Reed Harris and Ducross the tackle after a 6-yard gain.
Nice little play action on 1st down. They wanted the deep shot. The coverage was good. They had Michael Gallup running down the sidelines, but he was well covered, so Stevens makes the good decision to drop it down.
Once again from the eye with Peralta and Matthews. This time he does give to Izzy Matthews, who finds a little seam to get across the 35 all the way up near the 40, and a 1st down for the Rams. It's Moxie and Vallejo again with the hit.
Watch this on the right side, the combination blocking between Jake Bennett, the center, and the right guard, Fred Zerblis. Those guys are scrappy, and they do a great job in combo blocking. Start with a double team and then let one guy take over, and the next one goes up to that next level.
Moxie was getting his helmet looked at there on the sideline, so we're under a minute to play in the 1st quarter. 1st down, Colorado State.
That puts Horton in the game, the corner at the bottom.
Handoff, Matthews cuts back at the 40 to the 43 and picks up 4 on 1st down.
So far, the play selection from Mike Bobo is outstanding. He calls the plays, the head coach calls the plays, and he's keeping his team ahead of the sticks. These runs on 1st downs or the short, safe passes, You know, you're looking at 2nd and 6. That's not a bad proposition for this offense, and that's what they want to continue to do as this clock runs down here. Probably be the end of the quarter. But see the play selection, and the running game is highlighted there by Colorado State, and that opens up their play action game. Things are going exactly how they wanted them to.
So a 39-yard field goal from Wyatt Bryant on Colorado State's first possession of the game, the only scoring of the first quarter. We'll head to quarter 2 here in Boise, Idaho. This Mountain West Conference matchup, and the Rams leading the Broncos 3-0.
Back to Boise, following up on what Ray was saying about Mike Bobo's play calling, seeing a lot of linebackers jump out of plays, take themselves out of plays for Boise. This defense seems to be on their heels with Mike Bobo's play calling early in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of throwing a few for a loop. That's Dietrich Clark on the jet sweep. First time we've seen them run that play tonight, Ray. But back to what Cole was talking about, the play calling of Mike Bobo maybe has him thinking a little bit.
Oh, without a doubt. I think he's done an outstanding job with establishing the run early on, hitting some play action passes, and he's playing into the wheelhouse of his quarterback, Nick Stevens. Stevens is a great decision maker, not necessarily a supremely talented individual in terms of his arm and ability to run the ball, but a great mind, a football mind, and decision maker.
Rams tonight 1 of 3 on third down, third and short, third down and 2 that is. Stevens looked left, now across the middle of the field, caught and then dropped by Dawkins. Incomplete pass. Actually, that's Gallup. Vallejo on the coverage, and it'll be 4th down.
Nick Stevens a little upset. I don't know, why wouldn't he be? Because this should have been a first down. He has the patience. He uses his feet to keep things alive, and then hits his back. I mean, his number 1 receiver right in the hands on the shallow crosser that would have moved the chains. Those are the kind of plays that will catch up to you and get you beat. They've been known to fake a few punts, have the Rams. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah, Hayden Hunt faked one last week against Utah State. He's done that a couple of times this year, and he boots one to the far side. It's going to bounce out of bounds near the 10 early in this second quarter. So let's check in with the studio and say hey to Chris Cotter. Chris, thanks very much. Buckeyes back in front. You know, Ray, there were 11 unbeatens to start this week. Week 7 of the college football season. Boise State, one of those 11 teams. They take over at their own 10-yard line. Flipping hands off to Jeremy McNichols, who hits a pile there at the 10. Drives forward for maybe 2 to the 12.
Here's that Boise State drive chart for tonight. That first one, the turnover on downs, a dropped touchdown catch by Thomas Spurbeck in the end zone. And then since that time, it's been punt.
Now, last week for Boise State, a 3-and-out on their first possession of the game at New Mexico. Then they scored touchdowns on their next 7 consecutive possessions. And here's McNichols, who just pinballs his way through a crowd at the 15 and makes it all the way up to the 20 and enough for a first down.
The thing I like best about McNichols is watch his shoulders stay square to the line of scrimmage. In all of his runs, he's what I call a hopper. Rather than cross his feet to make a cut, he just hops sideways, and then he finds that little opening, and he can get through them tight spaces and push the chains.
In motion comes tight end Blakely. Hand off McNichols, looking, but then he's ankle tackled there by Jake Schlager. And that'll actually lose a yard or so.
Schlager is a safety, and usually you find him back in the middle of the field. However, when they come up against, when they have, Boise has a lot of tight ends in the game, he'll be one of the guys that comes up into the box, and he's got to make tackles just like he did there, because for the most part, he won't be blocked. He's that extra hat. So that guy has to be a sure tackler, and Schlegler was that at that point.
Schlegler is second tackle for loss this year. He led their team last year with 14 TFLs. There's a pass deflected, and it's caught by the lineman. This is Baggett, who then drops to the ground there at the 24.
I'm surprised the big boy didn't keep running.
Yeah,
I mean, you get your hands on a ball.
At that point, he's eligible to
Somebody
catch
else
a run.
tipped it.
Yes.
So the ball comes in. It looks like it did hit McNichols, the intended receiver. And the big fella's, he's taking no chances. He's going to get down and cover it up.
At that point, you've already caught it.
Right. You're already in the book, right?
Yeah.
Got yourself a stat.
Well, it's 3rd down and 6. Boise State yet to convert on 3rd down tonight. 0 for 3, even though they came in at 50% conversion on the year.
Mike Bobo wants to talk to the official about that situation. I think he's trying to make sure that that ball was indeed touched prior to Baggett coming up with it. Given the time, it could be turned into a review.
Well, from what we saw, it definitely looked like it was intended for McNichols.
Yeah, it was a screen pass. They were setting up a weak side screen, no question about that.
Mike Bobo now in his 2nd season as the head coach for Colorado State, after spending 14 seasons at Georgia under Mark Richt, the last 8 as the offensive coordinator. And of course, he played quarterback at Georgia as well back in the mid to late 90s.
Take a look at that play that they're discussing, and you see McNichols, he's trying to hide up in there, and he swats the football.
The previous play that the ball did not hit a defender for illegal touching.
And the rule in college football is if it touches an offensive player and then an offensive lineman catches it, you can't do that. That's an illegal touch. The question is whether it hit a defender or not. And that look, it didn't look like it to me. Now in the NFL, it can hit anybody and anybody can get it. I don't see it hit a defender. So this might, from my understanding, this could be an illegal touch.
Look from another angle.
Yeah, see, in there it's hard to say whether or not Deshaun Mays, number 44, got his hand on it. Now, the other angle, it did not look like it as the rain picks up a little bit here.
Yeah, it's raining as hard now as it has since before kickoff. So David Dumas, our replay official, getting a look at that.
And this is a challenge, by the way. It's not anything that the officials initiated. Mike Bobo challenged this.
After review, the ruling is the ball was touched by the defense, then caught by the offense, made it illegal. Colorado State will be charged their 2nd time out and lose their challenge.
Well,
I didn't see it, but
no, I didn't see it touch a defender at all.
It looked like Deshaun Mays was possible that it was his hand rather than McNichols. And in this look, you see that hand there?
Yep.
Yep, that was. Mays hit it. So I see what Mike Bobo saw, because we didn't see it just until now, but the officials got it right. So Baggett gets to keep his reception.
And I'm sure he's happy with that.
Yes, he'll have a story to tell. And I'm sure it'll get better and better as time goes by.
But now a 3rd down and 6 for the Broncos. Again, 0 for 3 on 3rd down tonight. Spurbeck goes in motion. Rippon looking his way now. Running out of time. Flushed down, and then he's going to be dropped at the 22. Evan Colorado and Richard King.
Great coverage down the field. He was looking for Thomas Spurbeck, who had crossed the formation in motion and tried to outrace the defender to the edge, but it was covered all the way. Nowhere for Rippon to go with it. He makes the good decision to just put it away and try to run.
The intensity of that rain continues to pick up, which when we talked with the teams yesterday, Colorado State was intrigued by the possibility that it could rain hard. They wouldn't mind it if it rained even harder here tonight.
Yeah, Coach Bobo said, it doesn't matter that much, but I did pray for it all week. So
really nice punt by Whale. Ruiz goes back to get it and then is upended at the 28-yard line. But Colorado State will have the football again and a 3-0 lead here early in this second quarter. Given to the alumni of Boise State for their dedication, commitment, and service. CSU handoff. Izzy Matthews running right, breaks a tackle, a spin move, and he has a first down up to the 43-yard line.
And they'll try to go tempo after moving the chains, but this was a power play and a great job by Matthews of bouncing it outside because it was all bottled up on the inside. But he's got the vision and the quicks to get the edge.
15-yard rush for Izzy Matthews and a first down for CSU at their own 42. Right back to Izzy. Chancellor James and Darren Lee came up to clog up that hole quickly. It is a gain of about 3.
This game is playing out exactly the way Colorado State would have hoped right now. You know, they've been able to keep Boise off the scoreboard early. They're controlling the clock with the running game. They're hitting some play action passes. They haven't made a lot of mistakes. They're doing a nice job of executing their game plan up to this point.
Only points of this game, a 39-yard field goal from CSU's Wyatt Bryan on Rams' first possession. They give it back to Matthews, wrapped up by Chancellor James right near midfield. Cole, how's the rain down there, man?
It's actually not too bad. It did pick up moments ago and was the worst it's been all night. But like I said before the game, it comes and goes. Same with the wind. But one thing that I'm noticing, guys, about this Boise State defense, I'm not seeing any movement. I'm not seeing anything that's very challenging for an offensive lineman or a play caller as far as changing at the line of scrimmage. They're basically playing an even front, 4-man front, not a lot of movement. That's an offensive lineman's dream when you're trying to play ground and pound football.
And a 3rd and 2, thank you, Cole, from midfield for Colorado State. Handoff, not made. Play action. Stevens hit as he throws, and in a crowd, incomplete for Johnson down near the Boise State 20.
Raymond Ford and also Chance James, neither of them were fooled by the play action. It was outstanding play action, but they were both all over the receiver the whole time. You can see double coverage and a safe throw by Stevens. He got it up there where only his guy Johnson could get it, but nonetheless, good discipline in the back end of the Bronco defense saved him right there.
And the play action had me fooled. Colorado State converted their first 3rd down opportunity, but since then they've failed on their last 4. And there's that punt far side. It'll take a side hop and be down at the 18. So for Hayden Hunt, that time a 32-yard punt. 9:18 to play in this first half. 3-0 Colorado State. Boise, Idaho, it's the scoring drive cannon. When it shoots off, it's 130 decibels of ear-splitting noise.
And everything is original on that bad boy except for the trigger mechanism.
Fortunately, Ray knows a lot about his cannons. That shoots an 8-gauge shell. As we
7,
take you with
8,
the
9, whatever you gotta have.
That's tonight's backstage pass. They haven't shot that off. That was what you saw was before the game. They'll shoot it off when Boise State scores, so they have yet to score. In fact, Ray, look at total yards right now. 123 for Colorado State, 68 for Boise State. Who's been the more physical team to start this game?
Without a doubt, it's the guys in green thus far, and particularly on defense up front. They're taking it to this Bronco offensive line.
Rippon goes under center. Boise State taking over their own 20. Play action now pulls it down. Rippon stumbling. Now he's going to take off with it and slide down at the 26-yard line. 5-yard scamper for Rippon. He's not exactly the world's greatest sprinter, and that's an area of his game they would like to see develop.
Right, and that's something that I think will come. However, I think there are limitations. He's not the fastest guy or has great moves, but what they want is for him, when he does move, keep his eyes downfield and maybe find a receiver to hit and just be smart with the football when he does.
Hands it off this time. And up to the 29 is McNichols. Darnell Thompson, number 94, with the tackle.
Brings up at 3rd down and 1 now. And I think that Boise is just going to run it at him again, load up with some big personnel and try to knock him back off the ball.
Bring in Alexander Madison, the true freshman running back.
Well, they just put number 72, Will Adams, at a wing back on the right side, or did he move up to tight end? He's a wing back on the right side up here.
Nichols and Madison in the I formation with Rippon under center at 3rd and 1. Give it to McNichols, who'll have the first down, and right is defender up to the 36. So he needed 1, picked up about 7. Jamal Hicks, true freshman, with the tackle for Colorado State.
And overloading that side, bringing in big Will Adams to block that edge helped, and then McNichols made somebody miss in the hole, which he does extremely well, and that moves the chains.
First time tonight Boise State has converted on 3rd down. Each team now 1 of 5 on 3rd down.
Unbalanced line here.
McNichols ankle tackled at the 42 by Josh Watson.
Watson's done a nice job. In talking to Marty English, the defensive coordinator, said he'd like a little more consistency out of him, but he's grown into this position, just a redshirt sophomore. Big specimen of a kid, 46 tackles coming in on the night. Second leading tackler on this team next to Kevin Davis, his linebacker partner.
McNichols trying to stretch it out, but that's well read by the Colorado State defense. And is tackled by Kevin Davis and Tyree Simmons. Let's check in again with Chris Cotter. Wow, Chris, thanks for keeping us in the loop there. Well, one of the 11 unbeatens go down tonight. Boise State, one of those 11, right now trailing 3-0 good way through this second quarter. Rippon on 3rd and 8. Passes far side. That's beyond the marker. And the first catch of the night for Chaz Anderson. Enough for the first down.
And the corners are playing somewhere between 5 and 8 yards off. And that's so they don't go ahead and hitch the sticks all night like they did right there. So that's the favorite play for this Bronco offense.
Second catch of the game for Anderson, going deep, but once again looking for Anderson, but too far that time.
Tyree Simmons had good proximity coverage over there on Anderson. That is the 4th deep shot of the night for Boise, and they are 1 of 3 with a dropped touchdown pass, and then Rippon got knocked over by his own guy.
Baggett got a little friendly fire there.
Man, Baggett, he's got a pass reception already. Well, you wouldn't expect that out of him.
That's 2nd down and 10. McNichols. Met by Jacob Byes.
Jacob Byes along with Johnny Shoup in the middle. Those 2 interior defensive linemen have been stout and taking it to that Boise offensive line. They are winning that physical battle up there in between the tackles thus far.
So you got McNichols, 13 carries for 36 yards, so 2.8 yards per carry. Came in averaging about 5.1 yards per carry this year. 3rd and long, 3rd and 9. Rippon hit as he throws and incomplete at the 40. It was Justin Sweet putting on the pressure.
Blitz off the edge. Rippon never saw it, backsided him. Here you see there's the blitz, the nickel coming off the edge, big whack there on Rippon, and then tight man coverage behind it. And 3rd and 8, that's what Colorado State's going to do, and they were successful with it.
Ruiz back to receive the punt from Sean Whale.
And this is a safe look. The regular defense is out here. They're not going to get fooled on any kind of fake punt.
One coming to the near side over the head. Actually, nicely deked by Ruiz. That one goes into the end zone for a touchback. So 5:14 to play in the first half here in Boise, and it's the visiting Rams with a 3-0 lead. Let's take over first down at their own 20. Stevens under center and out of the I formation. Peralta and Dawkins, and it's Dalen Dawkins running left, finds a crease to the 30, a block on the edge, up to the 40-yard line before he's wrapped up, and a 20-yard run before he's stopped by Cameron Hartsfield.
And they're just winning up front. There's a nice hole. Watch off to the right side of the screen. You've got some outstanding blocking. Paul Thurston took care of his man. Callender kicked his man out, and there's a huge hole for Dawkins to scoot through.
Dawkins now 11 carries, 61 yards. He's averaging 5.5 per carry. Came in averaging just under 5 yards per carry this year. Back to Dawkins, hit from the side by Tanner Vallejo.
Tanner Vallejo played both inside and outside linebacker, but now he's moved back to the outside. You see him coming off the edge on what I call a fire stunt, and what he does extremely well is get himself down the line of scrimmage so he can catch that thing from behind.
See that cast on his right forearm and wrist area. Been banged up this year, but a guy who really raised the heartbeat of that defense. Here's Stevens to throw. And
the Moa constrictor with some pressure. David Moa got in there and disrupted the throwing lane for Nick Stevens. Moa has been a really good surprise. You know, they lost 6 of their top 8 defensive linemen coming into this year, and they were looking for somebody to step up, and Moa has 5.5 sacks from his defensive tackle position.
Yeah, lost every starter on that defensive line from a year ago. Third down at 9, Colorado State. 1 of 5 on third down tonight. Stevens with time sets up the screen pass to Dawkins, but he's upended right at the 40 by Jonathan Moxie, and he loses a yard.
Moxie did a great job of sniffing out that screen. He was the only receiver on the, defender on the backside, and if he doesn't get up there and make this play, this is going to go a long way, because you look over here, there's nobody else but Moxie who can make that play until it goes another 10 yards down the field. But he had enough moxie to sniff it out and come up and make it.
I'm sure he's heard that before. Moxie, a senior in his 4th year in the program. Well, our Week 6 Monday Night Football matchup has Brandon Marshall and the Jets taking on Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals in Glendale, Arizona. 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, and our coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern, and also streams live on Watch ESPN. So it's Week 6 in the NFL. We are wrapping up Week 7 for all intents and purposes in college football. This late game here in Boise on a Saturday night. Glad you could join us, along with Ray Bentley and Cole Kublik down on the field. I'm Mark Neely, and Hayden Hunt on to punt.
Don't really anticipate a fake in this area of the field, especially with a 4th and 10. But Coach Bobo has pulled that trigger a couple of times so far this year,
including last week against Utah State, and they also did one against Minnesota as the rugby punt that time, and it take the Colorado State bounce until it stops just inside the 25. 35-yard punt for Hunt with under 4 minutes to play now in this first half. Last time they were shut out in a half almost 20 years ago. To go back to 97 at Washington State. Bryant Harsin, now the head coach for Boise State, was a member of that team back in 1997.
That's just an amazing statistic to me. It tells me you got something on the ball on offense.
On the left, McNichols to the 28, met by Kevin Davis and Evan Colorito, a 3-yard gain.
Colorito does a nice job of making this thing continue to run sideways. Watch number 43 show up here, and you see how he forced it back in and then was still able to step underneath inside and join Davis on that tackle.
Colorito, whose dad Tony played in the NFL with the Broncos. You see the number of rushing yards for Boise State, just 31 tonight. Came in averaging about 155, and
Boise used a timeout here.
So they'll have one left. Actually, that is their 3rd timeout. So Broncos without a timeout here in this first half. So we'll step aside as well with 3:18 to play here in half number 1. Look forward to that, Chris. Here's Jeremy McNichols. One of his better runs of the night will move the sticks for the Broncos, and they have a first down from their own 36.
Colorado State's doing a great job of mixing up their looks in terms of out on the edge on the corners.
McNichols coming left, able to get past Vaden, and steps out at the 42-yard line. Pickup of 6.
Go back to that point, Mark. One of the issues is if you play off of these Boise State receivers, and by off I mean 8 to 10 yards off, they're going to run an automatic out on you, and it's almost unstoppable. So in talking to Marty English, you know, he's telling us we got to mix it up. Now you see right here, this is about 8 yards there, but they're tighter up on this side. But they're going to move back and forth on those edges. But you see how far back he was? That gives you the green light for the out.
Dropped by Spurbeck, another rare drop. Spurbeck, who's 61 yards, receiving yards away from becoming the all-time leading receiver for Boise State.
And you see how he just runs them off. And I mean, that's as easy as it gets. But Spurbeck took his eyes off the football. And I think he did earlier when he dropped that touchdown pass. Rough night for him thus far.
A senior out of Carmichael, California.
See the corners up pressing here on the bottom area, taking it away.
Ripken to McNichols out of the backfield, where he steps out of bounds at the 48. Will mean a first down for the Broncos.
McNichols caught 51 passes last year. Only one other back in all of FBS caught more footballs than him. He is a dynamic, multi-dimensional guy. An outstanding running, can receive, and is as good of a pass protector as you got. And amazingly, he was not named first team all Mountain West in the preseason tally. He'll get something at the end of the year, I bet.
That was his 2nd catch of the night, 18th of this year. Rippin in trouble.
Looked like he tried to run the Statue of Liberty there. And the ball, he never got it handed off properly.
Well, they're honoring the 2006 team here tonight, which of course ran a...
Watch what he does with it. See that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And actually, it was the fake Statue of Liberty, and they were going to try and hit it down the field, but the protection broke down. So a nice little wrinkle there, maybe a tribute back to that.
That's what I was getting at.
2017.
That team is many of its members here tonight, and will be honored at the half, which is under 2 minutes away on the clock. Time for Rippin, but now sprinting out and is surrounded and pulled down at midfield. Does pick up 2 yards, but Darnell Thompson and Patrick Elson Bast, that is, they call him the Blaster.
Yeah, what a great nickname. And I got to tell you this, Darnell Thompson, both Cole and I remarked that he stood out on film and making plays. We asked the coach about it, and Coach English says, yeah, if I can only get him to do what he's supposed to do. He makes a lot of plays, backdoor stuff, falls into it. And so it's a mixed bag with him, but he's making plays.
Broncos 3 of 8 on third down, and it's a 3rd and 8.
They sent McNichols all the way to the bottom of the screen as a wideout.
Ripken going in his direction. Tumbling catch at the 15.
Well, the reason you do that is to get a matchup, and they matched him up, and he ends up on Evan Colorado, and it's a mismatch. And so that's where Ripken's going right away. And you see him, he gets a lot of air under this thing, knowing his guy can outrun the guy covering him. A nice play call and getting the matchup they wanted.
34-yard pass play. First down from the 17. Now a running play for McNichols, who's tackled at the 11 by Patrick Elsenbast.
That's one of the great things that when I watch this Boise offense, they get good matchups, and then they take advantage of them. See how they've been in the red zone thus far this year. But that is so important. Football's a game of matchups, and if you can get the guy you want on the guy they don't want, that can be good for you.
So CSU uses their final timeout of the half with 31 seconds left.
And I think it's a good call. You know, the defense is back on their heels a little bit, so take your time out, talk about things, and get your breath back a little bit.
Well, tune in for Sports Center at night on ESPN, including all the day's college football action and coverage of the American and National League Championship Series. Sports Center at night kicking off after UCLA Washington State on ESPN and streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. John Bucci-Gross, Nicole Briscoe for Sports Center at night tonight. Rain falling in Boise, Idaho. This Mountain West Conference matchup between 15th ranked Boise State, 5-0 on the year, 2-0 in conference. At number 15 ranking, the highest for the Broncos since they ended the 2011 season in the top 10 that year. Speaking of the Mountain West, Broncos, which won their first outright Mountain West Conference title back in 2014 in Brian Harson's first year as head coach. Air Force stunned today by New Mexico in Colorado Springs.
Fighting Bob Davies to get it done.
And rebound after getting absolutely thumped by Boise State last weekend in Albuquerque last Friday night. 42, actually 49-21.
Yeah, it's 42-0 at halftime though.
Fake the handoff, go to the end zone, touchdown, Spurbeck. His 6th touchdown catch of the season.
Great play action fake by Brett Rippon is what makes this work. Got everybody's eyes in the wrong spot, and then Spurbeck was able to run the route and get around Keel Robinson, who had the coverage, and then get it in front of the safety. Boom, right there. I mean, that's very well executed.
Rippon's 12th touchdown pass of the year. We mentioned Boise State had not been shut out in the first half of a game since 1997, yet they score their first points of this game with 27 seconds left in the half.
They handled some adversity here on this drive, got it going, a good throw down the field, and then Spurbeck gets himself on the board. Boise with the lead. Took over in that last drive, not only with the way he ran the football, the deep route that he caught. He put this team on his back there a little bit.
Will be brought out. Dawkins to the 21, and a flag comes in late. It's McNichols, who tonight 17 rushes for 58 yards, but also a couple of catches, actually 3 catches on the night for 45 yards.
Right, including that 33-yarder that got them down into the red zone area and finished off with the Spurbeck touchdown.
During the return, personal foul, illegal block below the waist, receiving team number 42. The penalty will be forced, half distance to the goal, first down, Colorado State.
You mentioned how McNichols was second team all conference last year. That shows you how good the running backs were in the Mountain West Conference a year ago. Donnell Pumphrey of San Diego State and Tyler Irvin of San Jose State were first team. Then you had Brian Hill of Wyoming and McNichols of Boise second team.
Right, and they picked Pumphrey and Hill as the preseason all-conference first-team running backs, and McNichols nowhere to be seen. That amazes me.
Stevens takes a knee to end the half. Quickly, though, Ray, what you think about Nick Stevens here for Colorado State?
I think he's done a great job. He's done what they've asked him to do. He's made good decisions, has made no mistakes, and he's got them in good position in this game.
Well, it's a 7-3 lead for Boise State here at the break. Time for the BMW halftime report. And let's throw it to Chris Cotter.
Game clock up already. Please put 25 minutes up there.
Much better on third down. That was a big concern for him with this club going into the second half.
And Colorado State has never beaten Boise State. They're 0-5 in their history, which only dates back to 2011. Here is Dawkins. The kickoff return up near the 30. Welcome you back to ESPN College Football Primetime, presented by Geico from Albertson Stadium in Boise, Idaho. You just heard from Cole Kublik. Along with Ray Bentley, I'm Mark Neely, and this Mountain West Conference matchup between these two foes, including a Boise State team that came in tonight ranked 15th in the nation and one of the remaining 11 unbeatens.
Colorado State did run the football well in that first half, picked up 106 yards on the ground.
Here's the pitch to Dawkins running left, but he's met by Chancellor James right near the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Dawkins, who goes all of 175 pounds, he ran a 212-pound James right over there. I love the way he plays.
Dalen Dawkins, whose uncle Brian Dawkins played collegiately at Clemson and a 9-time NFL Pro Bowler at safety. Worked at ESPN for a while now, back working with the Philadelphia Eagles. Back to Dawkins. For just about a couple, Darren Lee, linebacker, was the first to come up to meet him. And Mike Bobo calling the plays.
Said he kind of missed it, didn't do it last year, and wanted to get his hand back involved in it. And you're seeing, I'm seeing more head coaches taking over those types of duties. Younger guys, anyway.
Colorado State converted their first third down opportunity tonight. Since then, 0 for 5. In motion goes Gallup, who had a very quiet first half. Targeted just one time. Now throw out the flat, and that is Gallup, who has his first catch of the night. But it's about 5 yards shy of the first down where he's pushed out of bounds.
And they moved the pocket this time, getting Stevens on the edge. And you know, I'm asking the same question you're asking at home. When it's 3rd and 7 or 8, why are you throwing a 3 or 4 yard pass? Well, he's the only one who's open, and that's why he had to throw it there. And then you hope your guy can break a tackle or something. A punt is not a bad play necessarily.
So Gallup, who came in leading the team with 26 catches, gets his first of the night, but a flag before the snap, and looks like it will go against the Rams.
False start. Offense number 36. 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Not necessarily a costly penalty, but one that drives coaches crazy, especially if they don't necessarily agree with it.
4th penalty of the night. 25 yards against the Rams. Hayden Hunt. It's another high, deep punt go. All the way back to the 11. Cut back inside. And Butler up across the 20. Another booming punt from Hunt. Our Week 6 Monday Night Football matchup has Brandon Marshall and the Jets taking on Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals in Glendale, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. And coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 6 and also streams live on Watch ESPN.
Boise State has not been a big second half football team, Mark. We talked about it earlier on, and so they're going to have to be tonight because they got challenged a little bit, hit in the mouth a little bit early in this ball game. They did manage to come out of that first half with a lead. See if they can get some confidence off of that, but thus far, this Colorado State defense has been swarming to the football.
Rippon 9 of 16, 119 yards through the air. Gives to McNichols, who cuts back and runs for 6 yards to the left side after he was looking right. He's run down by Jake Schlager and Evan Colorado.
Another great example of how McNichols keeps them shoulders square and then just kind of feels his way through it. See how he's straight, even with the line of scrimmage, saw the area on the backside, and that's the other key to it. The vision that he has enables him to make plays when they're not there.
Spurback comes in motion back to the slot here on the near side.
Both corners pressed.
So it's a run for McNichols, who breaks a tackle and then got bumped just enough, but still falls forward across the 35 and a first down. 9-yard gain. Looks
to me, Mark, like Brian Harsin said, we're going to run this football here in the second half, and we're going to put it on Jeremy McNichols. And there's not a better guy they could put it on, in my opinion, and he showed as much in the first half.
Spurback in motion once again. Sets up in the slot. Fake the handoff to McNichols. Rippon dumps it off underneath to the safety valve, and just a gain of a yard to McNichols. Evan Colorado was there defensively.
Outstanding coverage. McNichols wanted his favorite receiver, Thomas Spurback. He ran a post route, and there was a safety over the top and a man trailing. There was nowhere to go with that football. They effectively took Spurback away, forcing the dump down. Another guy, excuse me, Mark, we haven't talked about yet is Cedric Wilson, the receiver number 1 at the bottom of the screen. They have not gotten him the football yet.
He had a career-high 9 catches last week in New Mexico with 3 TDs, but here's McNichols finally pushed out by Archie Lewis. Gain of 8.
Lewis with the block that enabled him to get the edge.
I agree with you guys. 74 Archie Lewis, somebody I watch on film. He doesn't look like an offensive lineman. Looks like he's got about a 34, 36-inch waist. Big frame, long arms, but he's physical at the point of attack. Excellent job pulling out, opening up the run on that play.
He had a little bit of a shaky start, Cole, with the penalties or two, but it looks like he's cleared that out of his mind now.
Nichols only back to the line of scrimmage. Jacob Buys and Darnell Thompson, 94, with the tackle.
And really, it was Trey Thomas who made that work because he kept it contained. He held the point at the edge, so there was really nowhere else to go, and they had to cut back into all that traffic. Pressing the corners again. Looks like a 2-deep shell behind it.
Sent A.J. Richardson in motion, swinging out to Chaz Anderson, who gets a block from Spurback, got hit hard, but stayed on his feet for an extra couple of yards. He's down to the 47-yard line of CSU.
And that was Jamal Hicks who made that hard hit you talked about, and he's getting the start tonight because of injured guys in front of him, and haven't dropped off a bit.
Yeah, he's a true freshman, Hicks, out of California. 3rd and short for the Broncos. Out of the eye with Madison and McNichols.
You got the big boy Adams at tight end again.
And McNichols will have the first down inside the 45. Tackled by Jake Schlager. First down, Broncos.
And that's twice now they've brought in that backup left tackle, the transfer from Auburn, Will Adams. And they overload the side. Adams is at the bottom of your screen there, and he gets a push to kind of close everything down. I guarantee you they've got some sort of play action off of that. Next time we see it, they might get a little tricksy on us.
Will Adams, who, as Ray mentioned, a grad transfer this year from Auburn. He was mainly a backup O-lineman.
Rippon changing the play.
Play clock down to 2. Gets it off in time. Fakes the inside handoff. Gives to McNichols. Spun around and dropped at the 40 by O'Shea Jackson for a gain of 4.
This is the kind of drive Colorado State wants Boise to have. They want them to have to grind their way down the field. They're trying to take away the home run shots, the big plays. But with the presses across the corner, I wouldn't be surprised if Boise took a shot right here.
And Rippon's going to take that shot with Anderson down the near sideline, who adjusts and makes the catch at the 5. Tyree Simmons had the coverage, and he's slow to get up for CSU.
Yeah, he took himself right out of the ball game. And it probably would have been better to lay there a minute and let his defense gather up, because you know Boise's going to go fast right now.
First and goal, Broncos from the Colorado State 5. McNichols trying to bounce it out wide. Gets a nice block from Anderson, and he's in the end zone. Touchdown. That makes it 18 consecutive games with a touchdown for Jeremy McNichols.
That was a special run. I mean, he was supposed to go into the A gap and get up inside, and it wasn't there, so he just goes out and bounces outside, and then he gets a nice cutback block there from number 6, Chaz Anderson, to open the way into the end zone.
Point after for Tyler Rawson makes it a 14-3 Broncos lead.
Yeah, they got him with the deep shot, and that's what sets up this McNichols touchdown run, and Boise comes out slinging here in the second half, up 14-3.
Last drive for the Broncos, 10 plays, 79 yards in just over 5 minutes. So they scored on the McNichols 5-yard touchdown run, and the Broncos with a TD on their final possession of the first half and a TD on their first possession of the second half, as Dawkins will take a knee. So the Rams to begin at their own 25 when we come back to Albertson Stadium. Retriever. He's 6 years old, and he has this big job. Go get the tee after the kickoff.
I love his aggressiveness and the way he gets after it, and then he's not done. He's ready for a snack.
He also plays basketball, which is a whole other story. The dog does. Stevens first out, underthrown, and that's skipped right into the arms of Tyler Horton, but incomplete.
He was looking for BC Johnson, who we saw slip earlier on a route, and then the same route, and he couldn't get out of his break on that one either. And I guarantee you, Nick Stevens one-hopped it over into that spot just to get rid of it and not have any trouble with a possible interception.
It's a handoff. Marvin Kinsey, the true freshman in the game now, and running back, sidesteps a defender up to the 32. Actually, see where they give the forward progress all the way up near the 35. And he's an interesting guy. Kinsey, a true freshman, had a few fumble issues earlier, but they are really high on him.
Yeah, he just follows the block from Paul Thurston rolling around the edge. And, you know, we talked to Coach Will Friend, the offensive coordinator, offensive line coach, and he said Marvin Kinsey's got a tremendous upside, probably the most talented running back they have, just young yet. And you mentioned the fumble issues. That's a scary proposition, putting a young kid in who has fumbled in a tight ball game.
3rd and 1. Give it to Matthews, who'll have the first down. Needed one, picks up about 3. Tackled by Chancellor James, and that'll move the change for CSU.
Boy, Jabril Frazier was lucky he did not get a penalty for the Broncos. He kept playing and put his hands on one of the offensive linemen and was pushing him around, and the official pulled him away. I'm a little surprised they didn't throw the flag on number 8 for Boise.
The first down for the Rams at their own 37. Nick Stevens under center. Hit hard, Kinsey. Not much there at all, right near the line of scrimmage. Elliott Hoyt and Ben Weaver put the licks on him.
Hoyt's an interesting guy. You know, he stepped up. He's from England, and he talks with that English accent and they all love to hear him talk. And you know, it's everything according to Hoyt. It's only his 7th year of football. He's a 5th-year senior, so he came to the game late, but he has stepped up his game and really been a big guy to take care of some of that loss that they had in that defensive line.
Stevens to the 42. They're saying incomplete.
It looked like he dribbled it.
Looking for Peralta.
Yeah, they like the. It's another deal. They're just trying to hitch it up a little bit, and you see the underneath throw. Good coverage right there. You see the ball hit the ground, but Ben Weaver was all over him like a cheap suit. I know. I happen to wear those.
To each his own. 3rd and 10. Rams tonight 2 of 8 on 3rd down. Broncos showing pressure. They rush 4. And a flag at the snap. No play. No play.
Nobody's told Nick Stevens that.
He couldn't hear the whistle, obviously.
Usually that's going to be a false start when they stop a play.
Marvell July, our referee.
False start. Offense number 61. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Well, then on Zach Goldich.
Goldie, they call him. He's an interesting story.
Yeah, a young man who survived the Aurora, Colorado theater shooting back in July of 2012. It claimed the lives of 12 people and 58 wounded. Zach was one of those, one of the survivors of that tragedy.
He's adamant that it will not define him, and it's really increased his focus on what he wants to get done in life. Here's a kid who knows he's been given a second chance. He's taken full advantage of it.
3rd and long, 3rd and 15. Stevens, quick drop, look right, now is going to run. Takes off to the 35 and then makes it up near the 40. Still going to leave him about 7 yards from the first down as he's stopped by Ben Weaver.
Good coverage in the back end by the Boise defense. There was nowhere for Nick Stevens to go with the football. Had no choice really other than to tuck it down and get what he could. But he didn't make the big mistake, and that's, I think, the biggest and the best thing about Nick Stevens is he's not going to get you beat out there. He's not going to make those mental errors, those foolish throws.
6th punt of the night for Hayden Hunt. Killian Butler calling for the fair catch and makes it at the 16. Well, the Broncos have scored touchdowns on each of their last 2 possessions. They'll have it again with under 5 minutes to play in the 3rd.
Welcome back to College Fop on ESPN. Go Boise.
That is 4-year-old Johanna Johnson. It only took 1 take. She's the daughter of former running back Ian Johnson. That's a live shot of the Johnsons. There's Johanna.
It might be Johanna's bedtime, I think.
Wife Chrissy was there, and after taking some selfies with some Boise State fans, it looks like the Johnson family headed home to watch it on TV the rest of the way. Here's the handoff. McNichols for about 3 up to the 20. You know, Ray, for the first 28 minutes of this game, Colorado State dictated tempo. They led 3-0. Now they trail it 14-3, and I would think this is a big series for them defensively to try to bring back some sanity because they've given up touchdowns their last 2 times.
Yeah, without a doubt. And the thing they have to do is control that deep ball. That's what's gotten Boise in the position to put up all of their points thus far.
A timeout called by Colorado State. So they use their first of the half. So we'll step aside and take the timeout as well with 4:13 to play here in this third quarter.
Hey, Grossman Nation, this is Nick Duncan, senior forward for the Boise State men's basketball team.
He'll shoot a 3 and get it. Austin dishes over to Duncan. Get Austin the assist. Duncan his first 3 of the game.
Season tickets to 7-day movie plans are on sale now. We want you to join us in another great season of Bonker basketball.
Long inside. Austin throws it up to Hutchinson.
There is the energy, reaction, and excitement during the Taco Bell Arena. Purchase your tickets today at bonkersports.com.
Colorado State just used their first timeout of the half. Let's throw it down to Cole down below. Do you see a reason for that timeout, Cole?
Probably a good timeout there as Jamal Hicks rolled over the slot receiver a little bit late. Not sure if they didn't have enough guys on the field or not, but there was an adjustment that Rippon saw with an uncovered receiver in the slot. Needed to get out of it and get into a new defense.
Well, thanks. Spurbeck in motion. 2nd down and 7 for the Broncos. Rippon puts it in the belly of McNichols straight ahead, and there goes Jeremy McNichols. It's a foot race to the end zone, and McNichols will win that race. Touchdown Broncos, 80 yards.
First time he was really able to bust a big one loose tonight, and it doesn't get much bigger than 80 to the house. Colorado State had avoided that. They'd done a great job for the most part in harnessing the run, but that one just got him. And they were in man-to-man coverage, pressed on the corners, and there was nobody home to help out once McNichols busted past that first line.
And the point after makes it 21-3. So the Boise State Broncos, their first 5 possessions of the game, all empty possessions, but now their last 3 possessions have all resulted in TDs.
Here we take a look at the happenings inside the box, and they pulled the guard Travis Averill, and they also brought a tight end over. So it was kind of almost a counter OF look, but they pinned the outside defenders outside, and then the down blocks on the inside created a wall, and that's just a seam, and McNichols didn't have to hop that time. He just hit the gas pedal.
It's his 2nd touchdown of the night. And for McNichols, that's his 3rd career run of over 80 yards.
See, in the last 2 seasons, McNichols more touchdowns than anyone else from scrimmage. Had 26 last year. That was number 14 this season. He's in some pretty good company. That's the company I'm speaking of. Consecutive games with a touchdown. And Ball and Henry aren't going to get any more. So.
Yeah, McNichols 18 consecutive now heading into next week. It's picked up by Dawkins. Flipped down at the 21. Well, you can kick off your Week 6 NFL Sunday with us on ESPN. 10 a.m. Eastern. NFL Insider Sunday edition with all the early breaking stories and injury news. And then at 11, the Sunday NFL Countdown crew takes you right up to kickoff. Both shows stream live on the ESPN app, and watch ESPN.
Boy, an 80-yard run will really pad your stats. Boise now up to 169 yards rushing, and obviously prior to that they were 80 less.
And McNichols 26 carries now for 175 yards. He was averaging, Ray, about 2 yards a carry early in the game. Now he's up to 6.7.
Yeah. Those big ones kind of help the old average a little bit.
That's what that 80-yarder will do for you. Stevens on first down, batted down, incomplete.
Looked to me like Awelua got the big hand up. And this is something that Boise State does a wonderful job at. If they can't get there, quick passes. What do? Get your hands up, try to knock that ball down. Perfect execution of it. It's something they work on when the rest of the team does special teams. The big guys go over there and swat balls.
And Daniel Awelua batted that one down, the junior out of Utah. Stevens kept it and is sacked by Durant Miles.
Miles is coming on for this Boise State football team. They're getting a lot more action tonight, and he's making it pay off. I mean, he's just coming off the edge, and Stevens just didn't get rid of the ball, and then it was over that quick because of the penetration and the pass rush by Miles.
First sack of the year for the sophomore Miles. It's 3rd and 15. Stevens sets up the screen. It's caught at the 12, and here comes Dawkins. But where he's dropped at the 27 will be about 5 yards short of the first down. The tackle by Kekoa Nawahine.
Effective little play, however, when 3rd and 15 comes along, it's hard to get the sticks. But this is something that they want to do to slow down this pass rush, which you see was coming up after him as it was. Then you get the big guys down the field and throwing some blocks. I saw Fred Zerblis, number 54, just clean somebody up.
Hayden Hunt, his 7th punt of the night.
The Hunt punt.
That's indeed what we get. And he backs Butler all the way up to the 18, retreats to the 17. Got a block that is going to go for a flag. DeAndre Pierce must have been the back, and that's going to take back this return.
Yeah, one of the most mind-boggling penalties in the game to me is a clip. It's pretty obvious if you're going to hit a guy in the back or not. Just saying. Got to pull off. It's a hard thing to do.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 4. The penalty being enforced half the distance of the goal. First down, Boise State.
Catch a look at it at the end here. I mean, it's obvious. You can't hit that guy right in the back with a forearm.
And it looked like he was already falling down anyway.
Yeah, and the ball carrier was already beyond it. But that's what guys do sometimes. How about McNichols? I mean, they put it on his back. 26 carries already, 4 catches, and you see the total yardage and the touchdowns.
The penalty, though, means that they're going to have to start this drive just inside their own 10.
They're in a running formation, but last time they were backed up, they threw the football.
Give it to McNichols.
Why not?
For a couple to the 12, tripped up by Jake Schlager.
This is a gut check time for Colorado State. I mean, this thing's getting close to getting away from them. Now, they trailed by 14 in the 3rd quarter last week and were able to come back and win a ball game. Now, they're down 17 here, 18 actually. So can they reach into that magic bag one more time?
Yeah, last week their defense shut out Utah State in the second half as they were down 14 to the Aggies at the half. Spurbeck with the catch, but nowhere to go. His forward progress going to be about a yard shy of the first down, tackled by true freshman Jamal Hicks.
Anytime that you have a defender covering Spurbeck and he's off 8 to 10 yards, odds are pretty good that Brett Rippon's going to find him and get the football to him.
5-yard catch there for Spurbeck, his 4th catch of the night for 62 yards. So he's about 40 some odd yards shy of becoming the all-time leading receiver, 44 yards shy in Boise State history. McNichols battles forward, bounces off a tackler, and then is wrapped up at the 25 by Trey Thomas and Jake Schlager, but it is a first down for the Broncos.
I just love the way McNichols competes. You know, he really worked hard this offseason, gaining extra strength. He started to pay attention to the nutritional aspect of things, and he is a beast, is he not, Cole?
Absolutely, and also you saw big 72 Will Adams. That was his role in Gus Malzahn's offense a year ago. He was a backup tackle, a guy who didn't start at tackle, came in reserve, started one game the season ago. But that was his role for the Auburn Tigers last season, that extra tackle, extra tight end, and jumbo packages. Did it the entire year.
They've been successful with him at it tonight. Every time he's come in that situation, they've been able to move the chains. As we saw the deep shot, another deep shot attempt by Boise, and very close, but good coverage down at the bottom of the screen by Tyree Simmons again.
And Sean Monster was the intended receiver for Boise State. Spurbeck back in motion to the top of the screen. Ripping hands off, McNichols. Got hit and wrapped up from behind by freshman Toby McBride.
A bit of a draw play. But McNichols, he's one of those guys that can handle 30-plus carries in a ball game. He's at 28 right now, and you add the 4 receptions, that's 32 touches here, and we got a quarter left to play.
Fire to the near side, gathered at the 38, and that will be a first down. Chaz Anderson with the catch. Coverage by Sean Johnson.
Johnson had the off coverage, so once again Anderson runs him up the field. He gets his hips turned and then cuts that route off, and Rippon is so strong-armed with great timing, he delivers the mail.
That's the end of the third quarter. Boise State has opened up a 21-3 lead over Colorado State. Big night so far for McNichols as you're watching ESPN College Football presented by Geico.
I don't think I deserve the hurt I get, but I'm made for it. It's not the end, no, it's not the end. I'm a comeback kid.
Boise State football locker room. We talked with Brian Hartson yesterday. He said, hey, the sign's about honoring the players before, the current players, and let the current players know that, hey, you're just caretakers for the players that will play for this program in the future.
That's right. You're setting the example for them to follow, and he kind of related it to the fact that they brought that 2006 team back here tonight, and the way that they've really opened up their arms to alumni, former players, inviting them back. You know, pushing, come on back. It doesn't matter you don't play anymore. You're a part of us, and we want our guys to see you. And he thinks it's really helped the program.
So we're into the fourth quarter from Albertson Stadium. There's a run. Kevin Nutt brings down Jeremy McNichols, who now with that carry closing in on 200 yards rushing. That third quarter for Boise State, they really woke up after a very sluggish first half, though they did score on their final possession of the first half.
Yeah, we're going to show you some numbers in a minute, what they produced in the first half compared to the third quarter.
Spurbeck in motion. They fake the jet sweep to him, give it back to McNichols, who broke one tackle and then almost another. And he'll have another first down to the 45 of CSU. It was Jake Schlager who had a chance at him, but then Schlager, who did bring him down, King had the shot at him early.
And here's the numbers I was talking about in the first half, second half, actually first half, third quarter. And Boise had about 50 more yards in that third quarter than they did in the entire first half. And McNichols went over the 200-yard mark on that previous carry. So it's been a different ball game in the second half, largely in due part to that man's efforts right there, Jeremy McNichols,
who will come out now for Alexander Madison.
I was mentioning the nutritional part of the whole training and getting your body ready, and he emphasized that this offseason. He said he feels like he can run forever, and he's looking like he can tonight.
Madison gets the carry. Maybe just a yard or so, hit Jake Schlager and Kevin Davis. Well, McNichols now at 204 yards rushing, and you have to keep in mind he catches passes too.
Right, he set up that first touchdown with that one, and then now he gets it to the end zone by just keeping working, keeping the shoulders square. And here's the one he busted for 80 yards. which really kind of changed this ball game.
4 catches for McNichols as well for 47 yards. So he's well over 250 all-purpose yards. Spurbeck the catch. Push him out at about the 36. Close to the sticks, but about a yard shy. Kevin Nutt pushed him out.
That's almost indefensible. When they run Spurbeck up the field and you have a corner that's off, it's stealing basically.
From Albertson Stadium, Boise, Idaho, this Mountain West Conference matchup between Colorado State and 15th ranked Boise State. Along with Cole Kublik down on the field. Ray Bentley, I'm Mark Neely. Boise State driving again, but going forward on 4th and 1. But we'll use a timeout. And play clock winding down.
We got that timeout just before it would have been hit with a false start. So good timing by Rippon to use that timeout. It saved him.
See the smile on the face of Brett Rippon there. You know, a guy in many ways that nationally raised, probably getting overshadowed for as top a talent as he is in just his sophomore year.
I agree, and we'll talk more about that as we go on here.
Boise Fire Department, they have created a colorful way to show their support for the Boise State Broncos. Just over 12 minutes to play 4th quarter. Broncos 4th and 1 from the 36 to Colorado State. McNichols powers to get just enough and maybe an extra half yard or yard for the first down. Stopped by Schlager and Buys. A little bit of jawing going on there at the end of the play.
You know, one thing, a piece of this Boise offense that hasn't really been a part of it today, Cedric Wilson, as you mentioned, Mark, career high 9 catches last week, 3 touchdowns, and a huge part of it, and haven't seen him do anything. No targets, no catches yet tonight.
Rippon goes back near side. A diving catch as he inbounds. Yes. Alexander Madison, the running back, showing his pass receiving skills.
They love to do this. They'll sneak the back out, and then it's a throwback look on a wheel route up the sideline, and it's another matchup deal where Kevin Davis had great position, but the throw was perfect.
Rushing attempt for Madison, who keeps battling his way forward to the 11.
Maybe they have high hopes for Alexander Madison. They think he can pick up after when Jeremy McNichols dematriculates. They think he's the next guy that can step right up in there and be a similar type of workhorse, and also the slash where he can be a receiver and run with the football.
That's Spurbeck throwing to the end zone, touchdown. A.J. Richardson on the receiving end, so they go to the Wildcat. Use Thomas Spurbeck, who was a high school quarterback and has done this year. He finds Richardson for the score.
Yeah, Spurbeck now 2 for 2 passing this year with a pair of touchdowns. And they run this little fake inside, rolling to the edge, and it's a run pass option, but it was pretty much pass all the way. And the corner, Kevin Nutt, got his eyes caught in the backfield, and that allowed Richardson to sneak behind him, and it's an easy toss for Spurbeck.
Spurbeck's previous touchdown pass was in the opener against Louisiana Lafayette. He threw a 48-yard touchdown pass to McNichols, but this one he throws to Richardson.
And he drops it right in over the top. I tell you what, when your receivers start throwing touchdown passes, it ain't a bad night. And it looks, someone else could sneak up, but it looks like it should maybe come out of those 4 in terms of the group of 5 team that will play in the Cotton Bowl this year.
28 unanswered points for Boise State, and Dawkins will take a knee. Well, our Week 6 Monday Night Football matchup has Brandon Marshall and the Jets battling Larry Fitzgerald and the Cardinals from Glendale, Arizona. 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, and the coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown served by Applebee's at 6 Eastern and also streams live on Watch ESPN.
The one thing this Rams offense really misses with Colin Hill out is that deep threat, that explosive element that he brings with his arm. And they just haven't had it tonight, and it's been an issue all season. Now, Hill helped them out with it, but they just have not had their share of big plays.
They fake the jet sweep to Clark, dump off the screen pass to Dawkins, but he's pulled down. A big number, 51, Ben Weaver, another tackle for Weaver.
Weaver played this as well as you can play it. I mean, this was incredible. As you see Colin Hill up top, he's listening in on things here tonight and charting, and they thought it'd be a really good thing for him to see it from a different angle. Now, it's obviously not what you want, but I think it'll help his maturation process and understand it from another angle.
Surgery about a week and a half away on that left knee for Hill. They hope to have him back for spring practice. And they do use the jet sweep to Clark. He's tackled by Martorano and Sam McCaskill.
That's what Clark's in there for. You know, he was a option quarterback in high school and then played some quarterback at Eastern Arizona
in the
junior
spread.
college. Yep.
Yeah.
And now they're teaching him how to be a wide receiver, but in the interim they're using him as a runner from that wide receiver position. And he's been outstanding in that regard for him.
Rams 2 of 10 on 3rd down, a 3rd and 6 for the 28. The pass, a tumbling catch, and where he came down, he's going to be short of the first down. Izzy Matthews.
And Matthews is self-loathing right now because all he had, there was no one around him. I mean, who knows how far he would have gone. He certainly would have gotten a first down. And now Colorado State in desperate straits, dire straits, if you will. And they're going to go for it here, backed up on 4th and 2.
So down 28-3, 4th and 2 from their own 33-yard line. And looking to throw, but now Stevens steps up and with that last extra effort may have gotten it, and then the ball popped free at the last moment.
Yeah, I think the ground caused the fumble, but that is a first down, and he got it with that effort that you mentioned, Mark, that twist at the end. All that ball has to do is touch that 35-yard line, and it is. But here's a look at it. There's nowhere to go with it. Doesn't have it, so he pulls it down. This is the effort, the spin at the end, reaching it out, and the ball does come out, but it came out the ground, which can't cause a fumble.
I don't know. It may have come out a little earlier than that, but he got the ball back.
Here's the other part of it. His elbow went down before he stretched the ball out, and so they're going to take a look at that and make sure that the ball had reached the yard to gain before he was officially down. I don't think they're looking at a fumble necessarily, but here he is. Watch the right arm, the right elbow. That's down. When that elbow hits down, he's down. And to me, that ball is not quite where it should be yet.
It was close, though. Really close.
It was really close, and here's even a better look at it. Watch that left elbow's down. Where's the ball? And that's what they're going to have to look at. Now, on the field, they ruled it a first down. So do we have indisputable video evidence to the contrary?
I don't think we do. Do you?
Because the camera angle is not directly down the line,
right?
I'd have a hard time overturning this.
But if it were the other way around, where they were marking it short of the first down, you couldn't do the opposite. So it's all about what the call on the field was.
And that's why that call is so vital. Because, you know, a lot of times you hear it, there's just not enough indisputable. And I think it's the right call under the circumstances. You know, in my book, he was probably short, but could we prove it? Indisputably, no.
So it gives Colorado State a little bit more life here with under 9 minutes to go and trailing 28-3. They do keep possession at their own 35. Take the handoff to Matthews. The pass finds the open receiver, Wosu, but then can't hang on to him.
Wosu, big tight end, primarily a blocker, but has shown good hands. And I mean, they'll even spread him out in certain gun formations. But that one was just a drop. This one, you got to make this play. I don't get the effort at the end. I mean, Gabe Perez was underneath and coverage was there, but it didn't look to me like Wosu saw it maybe. I don't know. He didn't effort to go after the football. And it's Perez actually who is being helped off the field. Got dinged up rushing the quarterback.
Second down and 10 for the Rams. Michael Gallup, the receiver at the bottom of the screen.
Quiet night for Gallup.
Up top, Ruiz in the slot. And a wide left, Olabisi Johnson. Give to Matthews. Izzy met at the 45, right near the marker, and should have another first down. Let's check down below with Cole.
Boy, guys, I don't know. Not many times we've seen Boise State go with that true three-man front with the zero nose lined up head over center. The nose slants right out of that play, open wide for the draw.
And a quick snap here, but not much for Matthews. He might even lose a half yard or a yard because of number 44, Darren Lee.
Yeah, they had that zero nose again, Cole, but this time the linebacker, Weaver, he comes up and closes that gap from the outside in. Excuse me, not Weaver, but Lee. Darren Lee made that play.
So we slip under the 8-minute mark. Marvin Kinsey up near midfield for a gain of close to 4 for the freshman from Atlanta.
Nice little cut by Kinsey. He has great vision. I mean, I've seen that manifest itself several times on film, watching him run. That was an example of it there. That play was supposed to go wide right. He saw the opening and cut it straight up.
Dylan Sumner Gardner made the tackle. He's been playing tonight, his first action in just about a calendar year.
He was chomping at the bit to get back in.
Had been hurt, had been suspended at times last year, but back in there tonight. Here's Stevens' pass. A reaching catch is made at the 45 by the tight end Peralta. He's quickly wrapped up by Weaver.
Great coverage by Weaver, but the ball was perfectly thrown to where only Peralta could get it, and he took it away. Watch it, just a little out cut. Weaver closes hard, makes the immediate hit, and it's another 4th down look here. There's an official down on the field.
Our center judge, Greg Reed, helped up to his feet. Of course, the center judge is the official that was added, and I lose track of the years. They go so fast. I think it was last year, correct, that the center was
yeah,
the new
they
official?
kind of eased them in 2 years ago, and then last year it was uniform throughout. But he's the guy he's back behind the offense with the referee. He sets the football and then tries to get the heck out of Dodge, and he didn't make it last time.
Dodge closed early on him.
Yeah.
4th and 1. They've already converted on a 4th down on this drive, and rolling out. Stevens takes it to the edge and runs for the first down. Did not step out of bounds. He turned it back in and took a hit from Dylan Sumner Gardner, but a first down run for the quarterback.
And they're not going to want him to do this very often. Get out of bounds. You know, they've already lost their starter in Colin Hill, but I understand the competitive nature of Nick Stevens, and he wanted contact, and he got some.
19-yard gain on 4th and 1. Now on first down, throws behind Gallup. They were not on the same page there.
No, you can see a little frustration in Gallup's body language. And coming in, the leading receiver, only 1 grab for 2 yards thus far here tonight, and you got to know it's eating him up.
Yeah, last week against Utah State, he had 7 catches for a career-high 140 yards and a touchdown. And really, all that came in the first half. Second and 10. Stevens has time to throw too high over at the sideline inside the 10 for Robert Ruiz.
Really, it was too late. I think he had Ruiz initially and didn't make the throw in time. And that's why he threw it out of bounds. The corner was sloughed off a little bit, and so I think he threw it out of there just safely as opposed to trying to drop it a dime, and that's what made him hold it a little bit.
3rd and 10. Stevens near side. Catch made by Elroy Masters, his first tonight. Pushed out by number 2 Moxie.
That was a really nice throw from Nick Stevens. The timing on it was immaculate. However, it's going to be short, and they're going to face another 4th down situation. Another 4th and short.
So they've converted 2 4th downs on this drive.
The naked bootleg worked well for him last time, but do you dare go to that well again? I don't think so.
A power look, give it to Matthews, and he's the one that will have the first down this time as he crashes down inside the 15.
Yeah, they loaded up with the big boys and overloaded that formation. We saw that one on film, where they have an unbalanced line and 2 big ones over there on that side as well. And then the quick feet of Izzy Matthews allowed him to win his way for that first down. And there's some big physical hitting going on right there. That's Jeff Taylor and Ben Weaver hooking up, locking horns.
9 carries, 50 yards now for Izzy Matthews. Throw to the end zone and having to reach for it incomplete is Gallup. Moxie on the coverage, and the frustration mounting for Gallup, who still just has the 1 catch for 2 yards.
Now to look at it, and the throw was just a little bit outside, and Moxie's in his stumbling tangled up with Gallup a little bit, and I think that's what kept Gallup from being able to maneuver his body to make that catch.
Colorado State in the red zone for the first time since their first possession of the game. Quarterback draw, and Stevens inside the 5.
Stevens ain't going down. I mean, he'll get tackled, but he's not taking a slide. I like his attitude. You know, he was the incumbent starter. He won 5 out of their last 6 games as a starter last year, earned 2nd team All-League honors, and then didn't play well in the opener and got benched. So he's got a chip on his shoulder still.
Into the end zone, touchdown, Izzy Matthews. So Colorado State converts not 1, not 2, but 3 4th downs on that drive. A 17-play drive that started at their own 25.
That's an impressive drive. Now, you know, the time that it occurred and some of the backups in the game, not to diminish it whatsoever, but I really liked what Nick Stevens showed, the grit and the toughness. Threw some nice passes, got some things going.
Wyatt Bryant's point after makes it 28-10. Exactly 5 minutes to play in the 4th quarter. Might we see a Rams onside kick when we come back? But Matthews' touchdown has given them their first TD of the night. Wyatt Bryant, the kicker. And instead, that ball's live, and it's recovered by Colorado State.
Well, I like the timing of the trick on the deal, having the one guy go after it and then the other guy come across on it. And he's a straight-on kicker, so he got that hop, high bounce, and that's what really left it open for Colorado State to get it. And I also think Boise was a little bit surprised. Got that thing up in the air. Great job getting a hand out.
Kevin Nutt recovered it. Cole has more down below.
Guys, I was surprised no one for Boise attacked that football. Had plenty of hang time. A lot of guys sitting around waiting. A couple guys looking to find a block. You get that much hang time on an onside kick, someone's got to go attack the ball, make sure you regain possession.
Yeah, it was rolling around there for it seemed like quite a while, and Nutt jumped on top of it. So So the Rams have it again at their own 47. Pump fake. Here's the throw. Gallup has his catch, and there he streaks to the end zone. Hey, look out. Here come the Rams. It's 28-16, and only 12 seconds have elapsed since the onside kick. 4:48 still to play.
Right, you kick this one, and that will get you to within 11. You don't go for 2 here yet. You wait on that, but this is this shows me really nice arm strength from Nick Stevens. He got that in there just in time before the safety came down on it.
53-yard touchdown catch and run for Michael Gallup, and there's the point after. And it's 28-17. Things are getting a little more intriguing here late on this Saturday night in Boise. Gallup with the score. Another onside kick on tap when we come back. Ryan then let Hayden Hunt complete the onside kick.
And they've switched positions now. Last time Hunt was on the other side. So maybe they're going to do the same thing, only the other way. Exactly.
That's exactly what happens. And that ball is live. And guess who has it? Colorado State.
And they should have come out and started the game with this. The way that thing's going is.
Dalen Dawkins recovers. Back-to-back successful onside kicks, and still 4:44 to go.
And Hayden Hunt has a knack for this. The way he hits the football, watch it bounce, and then pop up hard up in the air, and that went right off the chest of one of the Boise State up guys. It looked like Chaz Anderson, the sure-handed receiver, but that's like a hot ball at the hot corner where, you know what, sometimes it just gets up on you, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, Colorado State had their longest drive of the season of 17 plays 2 series ago. Then they had a 1-play drive the last time they had the football after the successful onside kick. Here comes Clark. He's up to the 45, a gain of about 9 on first down. Chancellor James and McCaskill with the tackle.
2nd and short, good time for another deep shot.
Gallup is at the bottom of your screen. Stevens goes to the far side, had Dawkins wide open and spun him around with a pass a little bit behind him, and it's incomplete.
And Dawkins got to make that catch, even though you're right, it was behind him. He makes that catch, and he's going to go for a while because look, there's nothing on that edge. Look at all the room he would have had over there on that outside had he been able to reel that one in.
So with the incompletion, the clock stopped. 4:19, a 3rd and 1. Matthews, first down, ran into Martirano, but picks up about 4. Clock will stop to move the chains.
And there's still plenty of time left. And if Colorado State can get a score here, they might not have to onside it again, but I would, just because they've been so successful with it.
Stevens pass, he had a man wide open, and that time it was too high for Gallup.
Yeah, that one's on Stevens right there. Now, he did have a blitz coming off his backside, and I think he tried to hurry it a little bit and ended up overthrowing it. Yeah, just got a little too much on it, but his man was open, cutting up in front of Moxie. Gallup had another chance.
There's Colin Hill, true freshman quarterback, tore his left ACL last week. Nick Stevens making his 15th career start here tonight. His pass on the screen. Gallup has blocking. Michael Gallup inside the 15, brought down at the 10.
Little tunnel screen, and Gallup just took off. Colin Hill smiling about that one, and I don't blame him. As this, all of a sudden, this offense has caught some life, some fire, and a large part of that reason is Michael Gallup finally is involved.
Last play, 31-yard gain, first down from the 11 time. Throws underneath, Dawkins in. Is he in? Yes, touchdown.
Wow.
What has happened in this football game?
Now you go for your 2, so you can close it to within field goal. And then with the 3:35 left, you really don't have to. Onside kick. This is a great job of recognition in terms of Nick Stevens realizing all the Boise defenders were back in the end zone along with all the other receivers. The only one underneath was Dalen Dawkins. But they got to go for the 2 here. And things can get real interesting if they make this.
11-yard touchdown catch for Dawkins. And I think they're looking to make sure he got in.
Yeah, going to review the score to make sure. I know the little guy put his head down and slammed in there as hard as he could. You know, they list him at 5'9". He's 5'7". And they say he's 175 pounds, and I think they're accurate in that regard.
Dalen Dawkins, who began his collegiate career at Purdue, played there as a freshman in 2013. And now in his 2nd season with Colorado State.
Take a look at it, and you can be the judge. That knee did not go down yet at all. Where's the football? That becomes the question to me.
Possible to
it's
tell there.
Really hard to see in that from that angle. I think it's a touchdown. I don't see anything that would dissuade me or make me think there's indisputable video evidence to the contrary. I think that you have to. David Dumas has done a good job so far, I think, with the reviews.
Replay official. While we're waiting on this, Ray, let's assume the touchdown's going to stand here, and they go for 2. If they make the conversion, they're just down 3. So that would seem to make a 3rd straight onside kick less likely. If they don't convert the 2 here, and it's going to take more than a field goal, does that make them more likely to try another onside kick?
I believe so. But with 3:25 left, 3:35 left, excuse me.
And they have 2 timeouts.
And 2 timeouts.
Here's the call.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
Yeah, I think that's what you had to do with the looks that we had at it. There was nothing that showed or indicated that Dawkins had not crossed the plane. But here, this is big. You know, with the success they've had on the onside kicks, you might want to go for it anyway. Just saying. But with the time and the timeouts you have left, I think you convert this thing, you're going to kick it deep. If you miss it, and then you need a touchdown, now you have a decision to make.
2-point conversion try for Colorado State. Stevens rolling out to the end zone, diving catch, converted. No, did not. That was Johnson, could not hang on.
Yeah, BC Johnson looked like he had it, and I thought Stevens, you know, I thought he had a guy open in front of him, but he went for the deeper shot. Here's the look. How do you drop that one? That's tough, because that one was a great throw. I mean, Stevens was ready to celebrate. He knew he had thrown a strike. He'd done his part. This guy couldn't hang on to it. So now the question is, you know, what do you want to do here? And if it's me, I'm going to kick it deep, and I'm going to tell my defense, all right, game's on you. Get a stop.
Well, you can kick off your Week 6 NFL Sunday with us on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. NFL Insider Sunday edition with all the early breaking stories and injury news. Then at 11, Sunday NFL Countdown crew takes you right up to kickoff. Both shows stream live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN.
You know, the other thing about this is Boise has to play hands team. They cannot set up for a return. And so you kick this thing deep, odds are pretty good you can pin them back.
Will we see a 3rd consecutive onside kick? It doesn't show the same setup. Well, maybe now it will. And it is another onside kick attempt, but that one is recovered by the Broncos at midfield.
I just don't like it, man. I think they went to the bag one too many times. You know,
Cedric Wilson recovered it.
Wilson finally gets some sort of play. It's so hard to execute these and make them work for you, and to expect to get 3 in a row, I think is just too much. And that one he overkicked a little bit, a little too much adrenaline perhaps from Hayden Hunt, but the previous 2 were perfect. But now your defense, you know, they're not in scoring position yet, and a field goal only makes it an 8-point game. So you're still in it in that regard. So the defense for the Rams, if they have any chance, they've got to rise up now.
And it stands up tall on that first play.
Colorado shot the gap on the inside. He's been playing outside, outside, outside. He shot inside. There was no one to block him. He gets that tackle for a loss. Watch him just slide in off the edge right there. Boom. Meet him in the backfield.
Boise State had scored 28 unanswered points to lead 28-3. Colorado State has scored 20 points in their last minute 15.
8 men up for Colorado State.
Long count with Rippon under center. Play fake. Rippon rolling out, looking downfield. Now he's going to run with it. Gets a block and is up across the 40. It'll be about 2 yards, 3 shy of the first down, but the run by Rippon.
And that's a part of his game that they really wanted to work on and get going. Looks like they marked him down at the 40.
Should leave him about 2 yards short. A 3rd and 2 coming up. So timeout called by the Rams. So they'll have 1 left and a huge 3rd down coming up here for Colorado State.
Yeah, this is the ball game for them right here. And if they have any chance of wanting to stay alive, they've got to come up with some kind of stop, and that's what they're working on and talking about right now. What do they have to dial up? And generally when they're in positions like this, Marty English likes to bring the pressure. Feels like he needs to bring the pressure. A little bit undersized up front, and when you want to make something happen, then you have to be aggressive and go make it happen. I think they'll dial it up here. What do you think, Cole?
I agree. This is a team that is no stranger to dialing up pressure. You and I talked about it. We've seen them blitz on 1st and 10. We've seen them blitz on 3rd and 10. They're going to bring guys in the box. They're going to slant. They're going to stunt and try to get into the backfield, cause penetration, and disrupt.
McNichols has it. 1st down, Broncos.
Mr. Square Shoulders just pounded it up in there behind the right side of that offensive line. Stephen Baggett, Mario Yaku, Mason Hampton, they cleared the way for the big guy.
He needed 2, he got 4.
It's just a great job of getting off and getting the push. They also pulled Travis Averill around, and he plays with a little bit of nastiness to him, and they got it done. And that's what they had to do. Same play.
McNichols almost broke that one. But Colorado got just enough at the end to pull him down.
Boy, McNichols got up behind Travis Averill, the pulling guard, and he used him almost as a launching pad to go the rest of the way. But he pushed the big guy down in front of him. And you're right, Colorado just got the ankle, and Hicks jumped on top.
Well, if you're Boise State, if you work the play clock down to close to 0, you can pretty much eat up almost all the time. There'd be a handful of seconds left, but not much.
Colorado State with the 1 timeout left. I'm surprised they didn't use it right there. You never get time back on the clock.
McNichols stood up and stopped. Forward progress to the 29.
Now burn that last timeout, and they do.
So it stops with 1:17 to go. Boise State trying to stay undefeated. Colorado State with this late furious rally. Boise State played on a Friday night last week, playing tonight on a Saturday, but they got a quick turnaround. They played BYU on Thursday on ESPN.
And Cole, you saw the BYU team pull one out last night. What's your preview of this matchup coming up on Thursday?
Boy, physical football game, Ray. And It's a big physical offensive line that BYU brings to the table. Jamal Williams, now the school's all-time leading rusher. #1 in the nation in rushing yards. I think both teams going to try to come out, establish the run, play off the play action, but where I think Boise State has a big advantage is athletically. Their defenders on the edge, being able to get to the quarterback, Taysom Hill, disrupt him in the pocket, cause some problems. And I think down the field, there are a couple ball hawks in that BYU secondary. They can go get the football, but I don't think with Boise spreading the field the way that they do, that BYU can run with this group of receivers. With the way Rippon pushes the football down the field, I think that's where the big advantage will be for the Broncos Thursday night.
And again, that game you can see on ESPN Thursday night from right here at Albertson Stadium between the Broncos and BYU. But right now, Boise State trying to finish this one off with the help of Jeremy McNichols.
I wouldn't put a play action pass past him here.
The conservative play to McNichols, which is going to get him close.
They're going to mark him short, though. So now you have the 4th down, and it's decision time for Coach Harsin. Do you try to field goal? You know, I think bad things can happen.
Yeah,
when you try to do that at times. So first of all, they're going to let the clock run all the way down, and then more than likely use one of their last 2 timeouts to discuss it and make sure that everybody's on the same page with how they want to do this.
Well, even if you attempt and make a field goal here,
it's still a 1-possession game.
Exactly. So what's your inclination, what they'll decide to do on 4th and short here?
I think they're going to go for it, and I think they're going to hand it to McNichols, and we'll see what happens. That's what I would do. When I got a kid like that who has been unbelievable all night and been able to push it, then that's what you're going to do. I think they're reviewing the spot on the last play. I know Coach Harsin wasn't happy with where it was, and you and I thought it would have been further down the field. And Mike Bobo is also wondering what's going on here.
Well, if the ruling keeps this short of the 1st down, obviously if Boise State goes for it and makes the 1st down, the game's over. But if they fail to make it, you're looking at Colorado State with approximately 30 seconds left after a failed 4th down, and they would have to go 70 some odd yards in 30 seconds.
Ruling on the field stance is called. 4th down.
So they keep the spot where it is, about a yard short. So you got a 4th and 1.
The game clock to 45 seconds.
And they do add time. So that could be big for Colorado State, or important if they're able to stop Boise State, if indeed the Broncos go for it on 4th and 1 here, which it looks like they will.
Well, and reviewing that actually gave Colorado State a free timeout. So that helps them in that regard if they're able to make a stop here. What do you think? McNichols off to the right side. That's what they've been doing pretty consistently.
You can't argue with that play call, can you?
You know, run the power, let Travis Averill pull around, and McNichols get up in his hip pocket, push the pile. That's what we're looking at here. You see McNichols counting the yards, making sure he's got the proper depth so that the timing on this play is what they need.
He has a career-high 217 rushing yards tonight.
Actually, I take it back. It's a start at the ready. So the clock is rolling. So it really wasn't a free timeout.
So they're letting it wind down, and they're going to use another timeout. Actually, they didn't have to use the previous one. Actually, Boise State got a timeout.
Yes,
save.
they got the free one.
Yeah.
Somebody got a free one somewhere. Good management of the clock by Coach Harsin, and now it comes down to this convert on 4th down, and you can take a knee, and it's party time here in Boise. You don't get it, and you got to hold your breath for another
15 seconds.
15,
yeah. And they'd have to go 70+ yards. But we'll say this as we're wrapping up week 7 of this college football season. Colorado State, Mike Bobo, his team with the onside kicks, the 2 successful ones back-to-back, really changed the complexion of this game in a hurry.
And then they got it going on offense. And a little momentum, man. Football is a game of momentum, and it's all about your mindset. what do you believe you can do? And they started to believe. Now this defense has to believe that they can stop this Bronco offense on a 4th and 1.
There were 11 unbeaten teams in the FBS when this week 7 of college football began. 10 of the 11 have already won to stay unbeaten. Boise State is the other. And they're 1 yard away from making it 11 for 11 for the unbeaten teams this week. Still fighting. McNichols, I don't think so.
He did not make it. And you saw the Colorado State defensive line shift to their left. They knew that power play was coming again, just like we predicted up here. And this time they moved more reinforcements to that side.
All right, they've got 15 seconds, no timeouts. Obviously, a field goal does them no good. They need a touchdown to pull off the stunner of all stunners.
You need about a 20-yard out route to get you into Hail Mary territory. But you can't, you got to get out of bounds. You can't stop the clock. There's not time to run up there after that kind of play and spike the football. So you need a 20-yard or so outlook, maybe a deep comeback, deep bench route. Try to hit that, get them out of bounds, and then you can set up your Hail Mary.
Receiver up top is Gallup. Stevens across the middle, a little hook and ladder. Ruiz lateral back. They're eating a lot of time. That ball got batted forward and out of bounds at the 45, and the clock stops with 4 seconds left.
Might have been better served just running it out of bounds instead of those last couple of laterals. And now it is the last ditch effort.
They're going to spot the ball at the CSU 40.
I do not believe, in fact, I know there's no way that Nick Stevens can throw this football far enough to get it to the end zone. So I expect another lateral fest.
The clock had already wound down to 0 before the play.
And the receivers on the bottom were not even lined up yet. It's a first down. The clock should have started when the chains were ready. And the officials are talking about it. Actually, it was the ball got knocked out of bounds.
Right.
Excuse me. So the clock should not have started. So they're going to put the 4 seconds back on and line this back up, and we'll try it again.
Well, the officials here are trying to make sure they get the correct application of the rules here, because we all know what happened when Central Michigan played Oklahoma State earlier this year, and a rule was misapplied that cost Oklahoma State that game.
As a former Chippewa,
yeah, you remember that game well.
That was a tough one, yeah.
So our referee Marvell July and his crew explain.
There's a correction. The previous play should have been a backward pass and out of bounds. The ball would be placed at the 45-yard line, and please put 4 seconds on the game clock, and the game clock will start on the snap.
So we're right as far as the clock not needing to restart, but they were going to spot the ball. He said the 45, I thought.
Right, he did, and yet they have it at the 40 right now. So they're going to have to adjust that.
Which still means 55 yards to the end zone, which probably still means Nick Stevens is not going to hit that on the fly.
Here's the thing, if he can get to the edge and get a little bit of a forward run, he might be able to heave it that far. So, you know, the other thing you mentioned is
the play of a backward pass out of bounds is under review.
Why not? But my point was Central Michigan couldn't get the ball to the end zone, and so they did a hook and ladder off of a Hail Mary look. Now here's the backward pass that ends up going out of bounds at the 45. It got batted around, and so I don't know what the review is going to be about. Although there's a possibility they could move it back to where it was last possessed. You can't gain yardage by batting a ball forward out of bounds.
Well, it looked like Nick Stevens was the last to touch him because he had come up following the play and had tried to bat it backwards, but somehow it knocked forwards.
Yeah, it bounced
all the
off of another
chaos.
guy. I think they're going to move it back to where it was last possessed. And we'll start there from with 4 seconds to go.
Well, who would have thought early in this fourth quarter that we would be at this stage of a game
Right.
with a 5-point game and Colorado State with the ball and 4 seconds left.
After review, the ruling is the second backward pass was actually forward, causing a loss of down, and a 10-second runoff,
It's over.
so that'd be ball game.
Well, a little anticlimactic the way
Right.
it finishes, but when they look at it, and I think what we saw is when Nick Stevens tried to bat it backward, he actually hit it off himself and it went forward, but nonetheless they reviewed it and it's over.
Take one more quick look at it and see if we can get some clarification out of it. I did not see it as a forward lateral, but that's what the determination was. All right, here's your lateral backwards by Dawkins.
So Stevens
Stevens
has it.
Never really had it. To me, that's not a lateral. That's a fumble. That ball was out. I don't believe he pushed it out of bounds.
It may have hit number 76, Nick Callender, as he was coming up, and the Callender's momentum knocked it forward.
It was not a forward lateral, in my opinion, but that's what the call is. We'll live with it.
What a weird ending, but Boise State stays unbeaten. They win it 28-23 over Colorado State. College football final coming up next. For Ray Bentley and Cole Kublik and our entire crew, I'm Mark Neely. Thanks for sharing this one with us. Good night from Boise.